Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. Judy here. If you fight for freedom, democracy, human rights, and science, please subscribe to this channel. Let's fight together. I upload weekly to this series, which talks about culture, history, economics, and more. Before we dive into today's topic, please allow me to thank the friends who bought me coffee from my website last week. Thank you so much for your kind support, my friends. Thank you. My friend, do you recall that I've said that if Trump successfully becomes a dictator, he'll be way worse than the ones that I've studied? And I'm also giving some of my reasons, right? If you don't remember, or if you're a new friend, please check them out in the description or comment. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please just do so. It won't cost you anything. Your support means a lot. Yeah, today I'm gonna talk about another reason about why I think Trump will be a way worse dictator if he successfully becomes one. Like I've said before, he's not only a businessman, but also a so very greedy human being. For this very reason, I think he'll try everything he can to get more and more money from others, from the country and the people, meaning in the end, only his family will be the only oligarch in America. And I believe that's the very reason Trump has been making the US dollar weak while promoting for cryptocurrencies. If you don't know, the dollar has slumped more than 10% this year, promoting its worst decline in the first 6 months of a year since 1973. Yes, the US dollar has been the backbone of the international financial system for nearly a century. However, after Trump's random tariffs, after taking every opportunity to insult Jerome Powell and talking about firing him, the chair of the Federal Reserve, the dollar's value has plummeted to a very low level. Moreover, Trump has signed laws to promote cryptocurrencies, which also weaken the American dollar. And in my view, eventually, Trump wants to use his own cryptocurrencies to replace the dollar. Yes, the companies in the crypto industry think that his policies are good for them. For now, they are right. Also for now, it seems that BTC is the most popular cryptocurrency. But it'll change if Trump successfully becomes a dictator. Why? Well, you know that Trump family has been building a crypto empire from the White House, right? For example, Trump launched a meme coin in January, and he partly owns crypto company World Liberty Financial. So I think in the end, after the cryptos replace the dollars, if Trump's own cryptocurrencies hasn't become the main ones, if BTC is still the most popular cryptocurrency, Trump will use his DOD to force the owners of the company to give it to him. If you don't think so, do some research about dictators. Anyway, in my view, If Trump successfully becomes a dictator, his family will directly control the U.S. monetary system, and his family will be the only oligarch in America. You see, my friends, some people who don't believe in science have asked me why I fight for science. Well, it's because science doesn't only improve people's lives, but also save people's lives. And it saved my life in 2018, which I've talked about in my previous videos and my book, Living with the Walking Dead. And if you're not new to my YouTube channels, you'd know that on my main channel, Judy Faye London's Let's Talk series, I've talked about Pope Alexander VI and his children and the rumor about incest between them. But if you're a new fan and you haven't watched those videos, please check them out in the description or comment. You might wonder what exactly we are gonna talk about. Well, we are gonna talk about the Borgia family and syphilis, a disease that has remained an extremely dangerous disease for centuries. Why do I mention the Borgia family? Well, I think you might know that it's widely known that Frederick Borgia, Pope Alexander VI's oldest son, got the very disease. And it's believed that he got the disease when he was a 22-year-old colonel, sentenced table-legged by his father to crown the king of Naples, and broker a royal marriage for his sister Lucrezia. Yeah, according to some documents, Lucrezia was also subject to syphilis. Some people believe that she has suffered repeated miscarriages just because of the very disease. As for their father, Pope Alexander VI, some sources list him among the many famous figures who contracted syphilis. But some other reliable sources do not mention him as a patient of the disease. So, what's syphilis? It's an infection caused by bacteria. It had a variety of names, usually people naming it after an enemy or a country they thought responsible for it. Syphilis is often transmitted through sexual contact. Usually, a few weeks after sexual contact with an infected individual, painless ulcers would appear on the genitals, rectum, or mouth. Generally, these symptoms would gradually disappear. Yeah, the disease then stays dormant in the body for years, even decades, before it reappears. After this latent stage, the final stage is tertiary syphilis, which would be truly horrific. This was because without treatment, syphilis can damage the heart, brain, and other organs. They often appear on the face as bone and skin begin to rot and disintegrate. In the early 16th century, there were many treatments for syphilis, including holy water and mercury skin injunctions. Unfortunately, none of them worked. Thanks to science, Right now, early syphilis can be cured, sometimes with single shot of medicine called penicillin. So yeah, I believe in science and I fight for science. Okay, my friends, if you're not new, I guess you remember that I talked about Pope Alexander and his children and the rumor about incest between them when I talked about the Trump family. Yes, Pope Alexander VI's daughter Lucretia was accused of incest with her brother Treasury and her father, but this is just a rumor that has never been proved, though she was well known for being one of the precious few who truly held sway and influence over her father. No, Pope Alexander VI never said that he wanted to have sex with his daughter. Yeah, Trump has talked about it. If you haven't watched that video, here it is.
Okay, Ivanka, what's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that
To be clear, I don't know if they, well, as an ordinary person, I will never be able to know such kind of thing. As for Lucretia, she was a strong woman. Her reputation as a poisoner was tied to all the mysterious deaths that occurred around the Borgia family, including her own brother, Wang. But Lucretia and her brother Treasury were extremely close. According to some sources, both of them suffered from the painful disease syphilis, which I just talked about on my science channel, Judy Plus. And like I said in that video, it's not sure if their father had the disease, but their father, Pope Alexander VI, used his position to amass wealth and power for himself and his family. And he was also known for accepting bribes in exchange for favors. Just like the Trump family, right? If you recall, a few weeks ago, I talked about the corruption of Trump and his family. If you haven't watched that video, please check it out in the description. It seems these two families are alike, and they both highly rely on their father's power and influence. So once their father is gone, they might lose everything they once had. You see, Treasury was known as the Prince because he was a prime example of the ideal leader in Machiavelli's book, The Prince. According to Machiavelli, Treasury's methods of seizing and running his new lands were flawless. Apparently, he was a wise, clever, and intelligent politician. However, after his father's death in 1903, the accession of a Borgia enemy to the papacy crippled Treasury's ability to rule, and Treasury was killed in 1907. His ending was not good, was it? As for the Trump family, I don't think Don Jr. or Eric Trump possesses Treasury's wisdom. So In my opinion, their endings might be worse after the death of their father. My friends, if you're not new to this channel, you'd know that I've talked many topics about Alzheimer's disease AD and Parkinson's disease PD and some potential ways to stop the diseases, right? If you don't recall, or if you're a new friend, please check them out in the description or comments. Yeah, today I'm gonna talk about AD and PD and some new potential treatments. You see, my friends, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's are common neurodegenerative diseases characterized by the progressive loss of synapses and neurons, leading to cognitive and motor decline. Increasing evidence suggests that AD and PD share monoamine and alpha-synuclein dysfunctions, often beginning years before clinical manifestations onset. Yeah, according to some studies, Parkinson's and Alzheimer's are two different aspects of the same disease, but the triggers for the impairments and causes leading the early neurodegenerative processes to become AD or PD remain unclear. To date, there's no cure for AD, and there's no disease-modifying treatment that will slow down PD progression. But there's great news. Scientists David Joseph discovered a common master switch that could potentially cure both AD and PD and other brain-related diseases with a single method, despite the unique characteristics of each disease. Yes, his new theory proposes that one molecular master switch controls the progression of several major neurodegenerative diseases. His study explains how oxidative stress leads to the deamidation of the 4-EBP2 protein in axons, a process now links directly to cognitive decline. It means that by regulating the rate of axon-based 4-EBP2 protein deamidation may control the progression of some neurodegenerative diseases. Moreover, a team of Harvard School of Public Health scientists found a molecular switch that can turn off some cellular processes that are protective against aging and metabolic diseases. Using genetically altered mouse models, the researchers found that aged cells accumulate more SMART, a protein that the researchers focused on its role in the aging process. And they found that SMART acts like a switch, turning off the protective cellular activities of some proteins known as PARs. And the good news is there are drugs to turn the protective activities of PARs back on. What's more, another research team at the University of Barcelona Institute of Neuroscience has also discovered new molecular mechanisms related to the cognitive decline associated with Alzheimer's disease. They found that normalization of RTP801 expression could help restore brain network connectivity similar to that of healthy individuals. See, three new potential treatments for Alzheimer's disease. Fascinating, right? My friends, I believe you remember that I've made some comparisons between Donald Trump and Leonid Brezhnev, right? Of course, if you're new to this channel, you might not know. Please check them out in the description or comments. So you know they are both dictators, but there are differences, like Trump's dictatorship is not fully formed yet. Yeah, you guessed it. Today, I wanna talk about dictatorships again. Yes, again, because I've talked about dictators and dictatorships many times. Why? Well, as an ordinary person, I don't want to see commoners suffering in dictatorships. So I've warned people that a dictatorship is never good for anyone. But since I'm not a celebrity and I'm a woman, many people don't know me and my warnings, while others just don't believe me, even though I've read hundreds of books and I've studied many dictators and dictatorships. Anyway, I know how ordinary people suffer in a dictatorship. And as an everyday person who cares about other people, I must warn people that a dictatorship is never good for anyone, especially commoners. Yes, like I've said before, no one is safe in a dictatorship, including their helpers. If the helpers survive the dictatorship, after it ends, most of them will be held accountable by the law and by the people. However, the dictators and their children will be highly unlikely to be held accountable. Right, I wanna use Leonid Brezhnev's dictatorship to explain that the helpers and enablers barely have happy endings. If you don't recall, Leonid Brezhnev was the Soviet leader from 1964 to 1982. Also, like I've said before, during Brezhnev's era, corruption was everywhere. Luxurious living and big bribes weren't even considered as major sins. According to some documents, the daughter of Leonid Brezhnev, Galina Brezhneva, has three main alleged passions: the circus, younger men, and diamonds. And she was accused of making vast amounts of money by manipulating the market price in diamonds. Moreover, shortly before her father's death, several prominent jewelry smugglers were arrested. Yes, they all had links with Galina Brezhneva. They were her helpers. But some of them even received the death sentence. However, for Galina, her being the daughter of Brezhnev resulted in dismissal of the charges against her, even though her father was very feeble at the time. And then, after her father died that year, her husband was arrested and jailed because of corruption. She divorced him, and then when she was 64, she married three first and final time to a 29-year-old man. See, the enablers and helpers of a dictator will be held accountable once the dictator couldn't protect them. But the dictator's children will never be charged or jailed. Okay, my friends, in case you don't know me yet, I'm Judy Faye London, a fan of Jack London. I'm a published writer who writes fiction and non-fiction novels and short stories. You're very welcome to visit my website judyfaylondon.com or Amazon to read my poems and my short stories. The last one, Mr. Rat, Candy the dog, and so on, and my latest non-fiction book, Living with the Walking Dead, a roadmap for achieving your own success. I hope to see you there, and thank you so much for your kind support, and thank you very much for subscribing to my YouTube channels, Judy Faye London and Judy Plus. Judy Faye London is a channel that mainly talks about culture, economics, and dictators and various events and people in human history, while Judy Plus is a channel that talks about interesting discoveries in the world of science.